Next holiday, Xbox Series X will lead us into the future of console gaming. Our fastest, most powerful Xbox will set a new bar for performance.
Two years since that video been posted. Now, the biggest question is, do I regret selling my Xbox Series X? Did I make the wrong choice? Because I have had a lot of people comment on it, which is unusual for my channel, but a lot of people have commented on it, and some said it's the worst choice I've ever made, and some people did agree with me. But what do I think right now? 2 years have passed, a lot of stuff has happened within the gaming community. What do I think about my choice? Did I make the right choice? Let's go for it. Now, the good thing about this type of videos are, I had enough time to reevaluate and see my decision. 2 years has passed. Obviously, what do I think about it now? A lot of stuff has happened as well, so obviously there is a lot of factors that come in now. Like, for example, I can see many things that are more clearly that I haven't seen before. Did I make the right decision? Now let's go for it. Game Pass is one of the best of value in the gaming. However, like I mentioned on the video before, I do really recommend you to watch that first, but the main problem with that service is it's not for me. Because it's not for me is because I'm a gamer who bought every single game that I'm interested in. I've played a lot of games. I've, purchased a lot of games. I have a lot of big gaming catalog on my, on my platforms, on other gaming platforms. So now the problem is a lot of the games on Game Pass at the moment is either I'm not interested in or I've already played. And this is same thing with PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium as well. This one goes to that one as well. A lot of them are filled with a lot of junk games that make the catalog look massive. And when in reality, there are some games that are interesting, but a lot of the games I've already played. This type of services are really amazing deal for those people who do not own too much, who only buy 1 or 2 games. If you're that type of person and you are experiencing these games for the first time but you never purchased them before, this is the best service to buy. Obviously it's still a good service because you still get the first party games. For example, I played my Black Ops 2 using my gaming laptop, obviously, because PCs also have the Game Pass. So this is where it comes to the play with the Game Pass. Do I need Xbox Series X to experience that, that service? No. So if I don't need that console for that service, would I stick to that console? And that's a no. Now, there is a lot of debate about this, because of how Xbox is now functioning, like the third party type stuff, where they're bringing all their let's say, all the games that they making now to all the other platforms. But what I'm trying to say is I also can experience this Game Pass on my PC. Maybe if that Game Pass was kind of limited to, let's say, Xbox, I'll be like, okay, this is the only place where I can experience this, so I have to buy this console. Then I'll be like, okay, it's worth for me to purchase Xbox or have the Xbox there. So, but I can experience them on my laptop right now. So all I have to do is, instead of paying 400, and now because of the, actually not even 400, because of the price increases, it's Xbox Series X is somewhere around like 500, 600 pounds now. So what I'm trying to say is, instead of paying 600 pounds for a console, I could just use my PC. So you see where I'm coming from? On the other hand, like I said, Xbox Game Pass is still an amazing deal. It is one of the best deal in the gaming. However, like I said, it's not for me, but it is a good way to experience the games that you want to do. If you want to try a game out, just pay, how much is it now? Like 11 or 12 pounds a month or something like that. Just pay for it and just experience it. That is a good service. However, like I said, I don't need Xbox Series X to do that. On another hand, a lot of people were telling me amazing games were going to be out. You are stupid. Me, I am stupid. Do you know why? Because Starfield was about to be released. Listen, I've seen that game, I've seen the footage, and I just went, I'm not interested. And there are so many factors, the reasons why I wasn't interested in that game, where I didn't wait for it to come out and I sold my Xbox, because that game was capped to 30 FPS. On Xbox Series X, a next generation game which has been hyped to the height has been 30 FPS on Xbox Series X. And that's not the only game that's been released 30 FPS. Nearly every single exclusive games on Xbox Series X have been released at 30 FPS. And ironically, when they started to port in their games on PlayStation, that's when they figured out, oh wait, let us update the game to 60 FPS. And obviously, Starfield is not on PlayStation 5 yet, but it is coming. It is coming. But what I'm trying to say is, the quality of their games, what the exclusive that they published. For example, what was that? Redfall, Starfield, Flight Simulator. What else were there? There was a few games that they released. They were all 30 FPS, and it's laughable. I'm sorry, but as a next generation, as in, look at PlayStation, for example. You can say whatever the fuck you want to say about them, but every single one of their exclusives have either came out with balance mode, performance RT mode, or just a normal quality mode with 30 FPS. And all of them give you an option. When PlayStation gives you that option, it's the quality that counts. Meanwhile, Xbox had been lacking in that department. I'm sorry, but for people who, came out and said 60 FPS is the future, yeah, you see? So, even when the games that were coming out, it still felt like very disappointing because of that. And then, you do have other games like Stalker 2, which I was really jealous of, but then again, a lot of these games that came out on there, it's coming on PlayStation 5 now, and they're also available on PC, but at the same time, it felt like these games were like a beta testing for PlayStation, because most of them were only 30 FPS, and now they're coming to PlayStation 5, now they're updating them to the performance mode and stuff. So, it's like, yes, you can experience the games on Xbox, but you're experiencing the worst editions. And now it's coming to PlayStation 5, and now you're getting the 60 FPS. But let's also talk about third-party companies who are skipping Xbox. There's a lot of them now are skipping Xbox as a brand, because they're not justified unless they get a deal from Game Pass. It's not really profitable on Xbox, and let's be honest, I personally do not care about that. But obviously, when you have some games that skip in if you're interested, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for the console. And obviously now Xbox owns Call of Duty, they own massive publishers. They are one of the biggest publishers in the industry now because they pretty much bought a lot of them to monopolize. However, with the shifting, with the way the business is shifting, they opted out to release their games on other consoles. For example, Indiana Jones was supposed to be exclusive, but not anymore. So you do have games that coming out on PlayStation 5 as well at the same time. So that kind of questions you. Do I like at this rate, why even own an Xbox? And obviously it's not a laughable matter because PlayStation might do the same thing with Helldivers 2 currently on Xbox, but it's very questionable. It just puts the value of the console even more down. So now there is even zero. If there was like a 1% of chances of me buying that console, now there is 0% of chances. And that makes me think about it, what I said 2 years ago. I kind of seen the way things were going and it wasn't good for Xbox. As an Xbox user, you might be used to that kind of stuff. It's kind of a bit disappointing to see people normalize with how badly it was managed and they were trying to defend it. As in, you can't defend a company where you're 2 years into the console and you released maybe 1 or 2 exclusive and just gave no fuck alls. Other people will keep commenting on it. You have to wait. I'm sorry. I'm a new client. I'm a new customer. This was the perfect time for Xbox to fucking pop off. And guess what? They failed. They failed. This was their moment. As in, if they convince me, a PlayStation owner or a different platform owner, to purchase their system, and when I purchased their system and I felt regret, now that is sad. It's sad. The thing is, they advertise Series X amazingly. It is actually, on the paper, it is one of the best console, but it's shit. It's being handled so poorly. And now I'm kind of thinking about it. What the fuck were they doing, man? What the fuck were they thinking? Is it because they rushed it? Because I do genuinely feel like PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X were rushed in terms of, the functionality with the games and whatnot. And even today, it feels like this generation is kind of starting now with the games. And obviously, I'm not saying PlayStation is any better. It's not. It's genuinely not. As I said, Xbox have managed to disappoint a new user like me. They fail. This is what they're failing at massively. They are failing at capturing new audience. Like, they had the chance. I feel like Xbox Series X was the perfect opportunity. It was where redemption, and they failed that. Obviously, now they're doing a lot good. Look, I said this on the previous video. I'll say it again. Xbox Series X has one of the best. It's one of the best things that I love about it is backward compatibility, obviously, where you can actually run some of the games even higher FPS. For example, Mad Max. You can play Mad Max at 4K, 120 hertz of frames, let's just say, compared to PlayStation, which is locked at 30 FPS. They do have a good features. Xbox Series X is a good console. However, it's been managed terribly by the company. When you have your competitor who releases their games at 60 FPS with so many performance modes, where balanced performance, where they actually make it feel like next generation, when you, as a next generation company who made a console, you're still stuck in previous generation by making your game stuck at 30 FPS. You see where I'm coming from? It doesn't feel special. Yes, some of the games that came out were exclusive to Xbox, but now I can play Forza. And ironically, the games they ported to PlayStation were mostly perform better on PlayStation compared to on the Xbox. You see what I'm trying to say here? And I'm trying to think about it. Why was that the case? Was it because, technical problems with Xbox? Was it because, was it harder to produce games for Xbox? And I feel like some devs have said that they were struggling with Xbox ecosystem, which was a major problem on PlayStation 3 as well, by the way. Are they repeating it, but they didn't really cater the program or software? I'm not entirely sure. However, what I'm sure about is, as a consumer, I did not have a good time. You have to think about this like a restaurant. If you go to somewhere, let's say somewhere new, and you sit down and eat their food, and you are not happy with the service, you're not happy with the food, or the food that you wanted, they come out 20 minutes later and say, your food is late, but don't worry, it will come, and you wait 1 hour and your food still doesn't come, that you don't go back to that restaurant. You do not go back to that restaurant. And this was my case with Xbox. I wasn't going to wait for them to release something. I was already 1.5 years deep into the console, and I had to still wait. There was no justification for me to keep that console. Now, a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people were complaining. I've sold my console on the wrong time because of what games are coming out, but what is the right time? So if I were to enjoy my Xbox Series X, I had to wait 2 years, 2 to 3 years I have to wait for them to, to be justifiable to have the Xbox Series X. So why are people so accustomed to this, manipulative, gaslighting, red flag console? It's like a relationship. It's like you're in a manipulative relationship where you go back to your ex-girlfriend who's very manipulatively bad. It's just, bro, you would never go back to a restaurant that you are not happy with. So why go back to this console? And I'm a client. I don't care what platform I owned before this. It doesn't matter if I owned PlayStation. It doesn't matter if I owned PC. From my perspective, when I owned that console, I was an excited customer who came into that shop. Let's just say Xbox is the shop, is the restaurant. I went in there, I ordered my food, and I waited. My food didn't come. And when my food did come, it came cold and it was not a good experience. I, as a client, ain't going to go back to that restaurant. So you see where I'm coming from here. It's not because of I don't like Microsoft or I prefer... No. It's just my experience. 2 years ago, when I purchased this console, or when I sold this console 2 years ago, I had a vision where I am going to be enjoying this console, and the servicing, the management done a terrible job. And what I absolutely hate, and I find it disgusting, is people actually defending this company, this whole establishment, and instead of asking questions, why and what the fuck are you guys doing? Why are you managing it this way for this such a long time? Instead of asking questions, people opted out to accept it. That's the problem. That's the reason you get people defending this company, saying, you made the wrong decision, you do not know what the fuck. End of the day, it happens to be I knew what the fuck I was doing. I had to jump the ship before the ship sank. That's the whole thing. Because I kind of seen the vision. Because I'm not coming as a console warrior here. I do not give a shit of what console you like or play. I can go ahead and say so many bad things about PlayStation at the same time, which I will do with another video, which I've done it before. But what I'm trying to say here is, people are very accustomed to accept something that's been so long. And I feel like it's very bad reputation or bad relationship where a lot of people who come back from, Xbox One and who went into Xbox Series X, instead of defending this company that doesn't give a shit about you, You should be, as a client, as a consumer, asking the questions yourself. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why is this game 30 FPS? Why didn't you guys push it? Instead of accepting it and saying, oh, I don't care about 60 FPS, why didn't you question them? Instead of being so, like, you know, accepting it, you have to get your voice out. Instead of being like always saying, oh wait, the next year gonna be better, and the next year, it just goes on. Have you heard about the word insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again? This is the thing, man. But listen, there's nothing wrong with you owning an Xbox Series X. This video is not me telling you to go buy a different console. It's okay. If you enjoy Xbox, that's okay. But as a person who values my time, my money, and my, you know, what I go into, I love gaming. I purchased, you know, my gaming laptop. I purchased my, you know, PlayStation 5 Pro. I have all of it, and I will never buy Xbox console ever again. Maybe I will buy the next one, depends how good it is, but the chances of me doing it is very slim, and ironically, it's been very slim to a lot of people. Xbox Series X have sold poorly. Xbox as a console is selling poorly. And do you know why? People lost trust. People lost trust on Microsoft. People lost trust on Xbox. People lost trust on the management, the people who's in charge of Xbox. These people have persuaded people to go to the other platforms. A lot of old Xbox players are now on PlayStation or on PC. Why own an Xbox? So, in conclusion, Xbox has really good cool features. They have backwards compatibility, they have quick resume, which I find it really stupid reasoning to purchase a console. It's just, listen, in conclusion, a lot of people also been saying like quick resume is another thing where it's a must-buy, you know, you need to buy Xbox just for the quick resume. If this feature was in old consoles like Xbox 360 and PS3, I would say fair enough. But we're in a generation where a game takes like 10 seconds to load in, so I don't really need it. It's a good feature, it's cool, but it's not a game selling feature. It's not a console selling feature. But I didn't feel like Xbox was a justification to keep it there. I didn't feel like, as a client who's purchased that product, I didn't feel like it was justified to keep that product there. Because I was disappointed. If I feel disappointed, unlike some people, I'm not going to justify it and just pretend that nothing happened. I, as a client, if I don't like that product, even if I didn't like PlayStation, I'll tell PlayStation to go fuck themselves, and I wouldn't buy that PlayStation 5. But I like some of the stuff PlayStation 5 did, and I'm not saying they're perfect, they're fucking pricks. The people who are in charge of them, especially the Herman Holst, you fucking prick, you ruined the fucking company. But what I'm trying to say here is, there should be a justification for me. I don't give a shit of, I like this console or this console. I didn't feel like there was it wasn't justified for me to keep that console, and I wanted to give it away. And I did. And, you know, I did have the Halo Special Premium Edition of the console, which looked pretty, but I wasn't going to keep it. If I'm not going to use it, if I feel like it's useless, keeping space, I'm not going to use it. And as I said previously, if I do want to play something from Xbox, I have my PC Game Pass. So, was it justified that I sold my Xbox Series X, and do I regret it? No. Best decision I've done. Best decision I've made. And I will do it again. I wouldn't buy it again, but I would sell it again. But thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this rumbling, and I just wanted to give out my perspective, and I wanted to give a bit of a roundout. Do I regret it? Because reading those comments, it kind of felt like, you know, like, geez, a lot of people being wrong. Like, they thought I would buy in Xbox again because they thought once the games are out, Xbox is going to be the best console ever, but that's not the case. And Realistically, looking at the statistics, that console sold poorly. And I only have the management to blame. Very promising console, rich feature, like feature rich, ruined by the management, ruined by the people who's in charge, and ruined by the people who managed the fuck out of that fucking console. So, thank you for listening. Subscribe. And peace. And do like the video. Do you check the other video? Do you watch the other video if you didn't? Or do you watch the other videos? I don't care. Subscribe.
Performance.